Hello and welcome to another edition of the C Squared podcast. This is your host, Curtis, with my co-host, Holly Royal. She is in a witch's hat today, and she is joining us all the way from the UK, Manchester, and she is here to talk to us today about bad reviews and internet stalkers, and a couple of other points too. So for the very first thing, I want to start by saying Holly's hat is a witch's hat, and she was kind enough to dress up for Halloween for this special podcast. So Holly, first of all, can you kind of explain your hat to everyone who's watching?
I mean, my idea is that I'm going to get progressively more and more spooky as we get closer to Halloween. That's the idea.
This is the TV version?
This is level 1 spook.
Level 1. Awesome.
Yeah.
Horns out of your head later and stuff like that. That's going to be fucking awesome. So before we get into this, so we have two topics. One is about stalking, and the other one is about bad reviews. So let's take up the stalking portion first here, just as a first thing. So I've been teasing Holly because Holly's been getting a share of fans, quote unquote, coming after her lately. Because let's face it, Holly's the greatest thing in the world. So anyway, so we're going to start off by okay, so this kind of goes with the review thing because of the fact of, I guess weird stalkers could be like a type of review almost.
Yeah, it's kind of dealing with weird comments, isn't it? And
yeah, it is. There is a method to my madness, believe it or not. There is a method. So, let's first talk about, the dealing with weird comments. That's probably the best way of putting it. Mm-hmm. So now, as a band member, when you get weird comments, and I guess technically what I just did leading up to this was a weird comment, how do you handle the weird comment when it's on a social medium?
For me, I think it depends a little bit on what it is. So there's been a couple of times that I've done the thing that you suggested where I'll comment underneath it with like our Bandcamp links being like, hey, here's our album if you want to buy it.
Yep.
I think that works pretty well.
Hold up before that here. Let's just explain to people because a lot of people might not know what we're talking about. So can you explain the Curtis method?
Yeah, so it's if you get a weird comment, anything along the lines of, I don't know, who's the fit female band member, or just things that are a bit inappropriate, really. Respond to it with like your merch link or your music link or something like that, because you never know, they might actually go and buy it, so you might get money out of them.
So has this happened to you yet, or has it just been like deterring the stalkers where you have made money off them?
I'm not 100% sure. I think there's a good chance one of them did actually buy something.
Cool. Okay, so now next, so you get a weird comment. So now let's say it's a direct attack on the band.
I mean, again, it kind of depends. I mean, if it's something that I think could also offend other people, or, like if it's racist or something like that, I would be tempted to just remove the comment and then block the person, because it's kind of, I don't want other people to necessarily have to see horrible things on our platform. But at the same time, because it's one of those things, sometimes I feel like responding to things and calling them out on it, but then that actually can just lead to more arguments. And you're kind of, I don't know, giving the trolls what they want. So sometimes I do think just delete and block is maybe the best way to go.
I agree. Okay, so now let's say you get well, I mean, I guess that's basically with anything. So you get a weird comment, you just block or mute if they seem like they're being weird. But there is, now I just want to point out for anybody listening here, you don't necessarily want to take that as your first action. You always want to kind of make sure that they're being weird. Like Holly one time had a comment from someone like basically asking her to be their girlfriend. I don't think you blocked them.
I didn't actually block them in the end, no, because that was like the weirdest thing they'd done, and there was nothing that bad before or since. So I do kind of like look at their profile and weigh up what other stuff they've got going on.
Yeah, there's judgment in all things, but I mean, like if someone's being a weird creep, just get rid of them or whatever. So, anything else you want to talk about commenting?
I think, yeah, I mean, I guess maybe something to bear in mind is obviously if you're putting a comment out there as a band, that's going to impact your reputation. So I would, yeah, like the way that you might respond to something personally will possibly be different to how you do it, you know, as the band through with their name on it. So I'd maybe just consider that. Because I've seen it sometimes, you know, people go and they just comment things and they get into arguments and you suddenly realize, but they've got the band name saying this and it doesn't look good for them.
I would even go so far as saying that you shouldn't even do that on your personal thing. If you're,
Well, yeah.
I have a story on this. Yesterday, I made a negative comment, 2 of them on Twitter. 2.
Oh no.
I did. And fortunately, someone whose name will remain nameless reached out to me and said, "Hey, you know what? You're being really fucking negative today." And I went back and I went, "What? I am." And I went and deleted the post. I made 2 or 3 tweets that came off as extremely negative. I was having a bad day and I didn't even think the whole thought through. And I went back and I deleted all 3 comments because in my case, anything that I say looks bad on you, it looks bad on Corey, it looks bad on Gaia, it looks bad on Aaliyah, it looks bad on Sam, it looks bad on Keith, and it looks bad on all of our clients. So I went back, I deleted all the negative stuff I said, and yeah, that was basically it because it does look bad on other people when that happens. Especially with you guys because you guys all work with me. So if I'm saying something stupid, you guys all look fucking stupid. So can you comment on that in a band sense, since you are a band member?
Yeah, I mean, I've never had any problems with this because all of my bandmates are pretty, none of us like getting into arguments anyway, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an
argument though. It could be something negative.
yeah.
Yeah, it could be something negative. Because I made a tweet yesterday because someone had been talking to me about how they've been backstabbed, and I made a tweet about how I'd been backstabbed in the past, and I wasn't, and you know, it was a pretty negative tweet, and it was kind of like a subtweet of someone else, so you know, it does look bad when you do that. So, like, how could that affect with you?
I think I mean, I try and plan out our band posts a little bit more than I would do my personal ones anyway, partly from like a branding perspective and also just because I'm sort of trying to plan out the content a bit more so it's not all the same thing. So I tend not to do stuff if I'm in a bad mood just because I'm sort of aware of this is not going to come across well. But yeah.
Very, very key. Okay, so negative comments. I think we're done on negative comments. Yeah.
I think so, yeah. I think it's just, yeah, judgment, and if you feel uncomfortable, just block and delete them. So
okay, so let's talk about negative reviews. So okay, so just to start off here, so Holly has gotten a fair share of negative reviews for Disconnected Souls. I think it's about 50-50. It's either really positive or it comes across as really negative. Disconnected Souls is one of those bands that people either get or they don't get, it seems like.
yeah.
So before we get into this, I just want to, this is the key thing I want to mention is sometimes your band is going to be a polarizing band. Not everybody's going to like you. And some people are really going to hate you. So I don't think anybody said anything like mean about you guys, have they?
The worst we've had was a guy, it was something along the lines of, oh, what was it? He was talking about one of the songs on the EP and he was saying, oh, this was my favorite song until the vocals started.
Oh, was that you or Patrick?
It was both of us, actually. This guy did not like either of those, which I thought was quite interesting. It was one of those that, because that was quite early on, that was kind of one of the first reviews that we had in. So it stung a little bit, but I have kind of gotten numb to it now.
Fair.
I kind of laugh about it a bit more.
So that's your most negative. So, okay. So now the key things that you guys usually get criticized for is number one, because the style is all over the place. So it's not really a style.
Yeah.
Well, people don't know what to make vocals because you got Patrick who does, I don't even know what he does. He does like growls and rap and
Yeah, and his like clean vocals is a bit kind of edgy, I guess. So he's
yeah,
got like a sort of rocker clean vocal thing going on.
yeah. It's different, that's for sure. And first time you hear it, you're like, I've never heard this before. And then your vocals are also different. So when you get the mishmash of it, and people go like, "Make of this," or go,
Yeah.
"This is awesome." So, where am I going with this? First of all, so let's talk about Disconnected Souls for a second. So, did you guys know that's what you were doing prior to putting the album out? That you guys were doing something polarizing or not?
I think we sort of had an idea, yeah, just because we were aware of how weird it was that we were, you know, mix matching all sorts of weird styles and things.
Okay.
But we did, I mean, the problem is like the people around you, obviously, because you usually tend to have like similar tastes, not always, but sometimes to friends and stuff.
Yeah.
Any negative stuff we had at first wasn't really negative, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because it was
So
all
yeah, so when some of the reviews started coming in, and it was a bit like, oh, okay, this person's ripping into us a bit, but
Mhm.
but then again, yeah, we do have some which are like really, really positive that I'm like, oh wow, you actually like it.
So okay, so now just as a first thing here. So first reviews were positive because it was family and friends. Second were sometimes you were getting some negative. So now when you got the first negative review, how did you guys deal with it?
Possibly personally, maybe not very well.
Okay, fair.
I think I did internalize it a little bit at first. Patrick might have done a little bit as well. I mean, the problem is that we were both very new to doing vocals anyway, so it's kind of we're still figuring out what we're doing and then getting negative feedback, that sort of thing. So I think, I don't know, I just had a little bit where I was like, oh God, should we have done this? Like, are we capable musicians? Can we do anything? Should we do anything? But then, like, you know, we have lots of nice feedback and it's kind of a, well, we enjoy doing it. So if no one else likes it, fine, we like it.
So okay, so what did you get? Okay, so you got first negative review. You were upset about it, or you're kind of like, kind of about it. So
Yeah, not me.
okay, so did you share the review?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Did you? Okay, who saw the review first? I guess is my first question.
It would have been Matthew. Because the thing is, well, this was actually one of the it was one of the like reverb ones as well, so it's slightly different from
A reverb one, a Reverb Nation one. What?
Yeah, it's they do like a feedback thing that Matthew likes doing just because you can send it to random audiences.
Yeah, I understand now.
So we actually did that before we got any PR stuff coming back.
Okay. Okay. So you
so
thought
that one was a bit more hidden anyway.
So Matthew saw it first. Now, did he share it with the rest of you guys, or how did it work? I'm just curious the process here.
Yeah, he did share it with the rest of us, but he was a bit, I don't know, he wasn't maybe as bothered by it as I was.
Fair.
Because I mean, he's very stoic anyway, so there is that.
Okay, fair. So where am I going with this here? So you guys saw that, so the review, you didn't share it. So now your next review, like at an actual publication, positive or negative?
I'm trying to think which one came next. I can't quite remember the order, but we had a very positive one fairly early on. It was from Planet Mosh, and they gave us like 5 stars. And the journalist, what did he say? It's like, oh, a staggering debut, something like that. So it was like total opposite. So then that was like, you know, that's a real confidence boost. And obviously I put it everywhere. So like, we want to share this.
So, okay, so then you shared that up. Okay, so now back to the negative. Okay, so back to the negative reviews here. So when you get a negative review now, what would you do?
It depends how it's negative, because we generally share all of them. Like so far, I think we have actually shared all of them, even some of them that have, they tend to be mixed. So they'll be negative, but they might pick out a few good points. So we'll just focus on the good points and then share it. But yeah, I'm kind of waiting to see if we get a really, really savage one. Because I'm kind of, in some ways I'm thinking, do I meme it like you meme all of them? But then I'm also thinking, I don't know if I want to draw attention to it in the first place.
Well,
so
let's talk about this. Let's talk about this for a second here. How do you feel about the memes that I do, out of curiosity? Like or dislike? And it's okay if you dislike.
I generally quite like them. I sometimes do the thing of, like when you first started doing them, I was a bit like, oh, are we going to piss a load of people off? But that might just be because I'm overly polite anyway. So there's
It could be. I don't know. I mean, it could be.
But no, I generally find them quite funny.
I want to point out that Dom Lawson of Metal Hammer / Blabbermouth enjoys my memes. And he even said that on the podcast.
Oh, that's great.
He mentioned that. He actually mentioned that specifically, that he enjoyed the memes. So I do want to point out that at least one person on a metal publication does appreciate the memes.
Yeah.
Were you on our podcast with Dom? You weren't, were you?
No, I wasn't. Actually.
Okay. You were. Okay. Just curious. So he said he enjoyed them. So for anybody who doesn't know, on Instagram, when we get a bad review, I'll ask the band if I can meme it. So what I do is I just take little bits and pieces from the review, and I usually do it with like a weird looking cat. So like, for example, what was the last one I did before Sirens Rain? Who was it? Frick, I can't even remember. Who was it? I did one with the Kiaville. I think that was the first one I did. Kiaville was the first one I did. And they got like this horrible review from Angry Metal Guy. So now I've made it the tradition that anytime that Angry Metal Guy does a bad review of any of our bands, they get memed with it. Everybody enjoy it. And but if anybody got super offended by it, I would definitely stop doing it. Now, the only reason why I do that is because it just kind of points out that, reviews are subjective. And a lot of times, you can tell by just looking at the quote that sometimes the reviewer was having a bad day, or they were being just unnecessarily mean. And the reason why I do it with Angry Metal Guy is because A, I do know the owner. B, and he's never gotten mad at me as far as I know, at least not publicly. And B, the site themselves, they want to rip the bands apart. So I figure, like, why not kind of throw it back in their faces? So where was I keep going off on tangents, Holly. You tell me what was it? Where was I going with this? You're supposed to be the brain behind the operation here.
Oh God.
We're going here. Oh, memes. That's what I was doing. So when you more people will see the bad review, yes, but it also draws attention to the fact that A, you have a good sense of humor, and B, you can let criticism kind of slide off your back, and you're not afraid of it. So let's get your thoughts on this, Miss PhD student. Let's get the thesis.
No, I definitely agree with that, because it's like, we are pretty good at taking criticism now. I like constructive criticism anyway, because I genuinely find it quite helpful. Cool. It's just, the really extreme, like, unpleasantness for the sake of it. I do sometimes just find it funny, or it depends. Sometimes I just get a bit annoyed with the journalist because feel like it's bad journalism. It's like, oh, you could have, but it depends.
Depends.
But yeah, I am all for, taking the piss out of things, and if it gives someone else a laugh, then that's even better.
I agree. One thing I do want to point out is Holly is very good with taking criticism. Anytime I've ever pointed anything out that needed to be fixed with her, she has never once ever, that I'm aware of at least, not.
Well, you've never really given me, I don't think you've ever given me criticism. Because there's stuff that's like needed fixing, but to me that's not criticism. That's just something needs fixing.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm very glad to hear that. I have no idea how she does with criticism then, because apparently I've never criticized her. Let's go to the opposite side of the coin here, though, Holly. So we've talked about the bad reviews and how to handle. And this is kind of going slightly onto a different topic, but it's not really. One thing I don't like is when journalists, because you were saying it's bad journalism, I don't like it when they're all positive and never, ever, ever
Yeah.
bad. I think there's an opposite end of the coin here where it's like everything positive, and any band that pays for PR, they just get automatic good reviews. I don't necessarily that's correct either. I just want to hear your opinion on that because it's kind of off topic, but sort of not.
Yeah, I can see what you mean, because then it kind of gives like an unrealistic description of the band and stuff. So yeah, I mean, if I am ever writing review, I tend to do it that if there's something I'm not quite sure about, I'll just say, oh, I'm not quite sure about it, but this is good. I kind of balance things out and give both sides. So yeah, all the like, I don't know, excitement and positivity again, maybe if it's overdone, comes across a bit fake and a bit.
Well, here's where I get weirded out. Like, okay, so if a band gets a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, like, I mean, come on, a 10 out of 10. Like, albums are actually 10 out of 10.
Yeah,
like,
I've never given a 10 on an album, I don't think.
Yeah, like, can you think of a 10-10 album? Like, okay, like, I don't know what would be considered a 10-10 album, but probably like something by Metallica, maybe from their early days, or like a Megadeth, like, you know, like, or an Iron Maiden. How many bands actually are 10-10s when you look at it? Like now, I can't think of too many.
No, I can't. I mean, the problem is it's all subjective anyway.
Well, true, but okay. But for example, like, let's say, we'll talk about Four Stroke Barons. They just popped in my mind. They're not clients of ours anyways. I really like that album. They called the album Classics. I don't know if you've heard the album, but no. Okay.
No,
but it's not a 10-10. So if anybody told me it was a 10-10, because it's not comparable to, like, it's just not comparable to any classic album that I can think of. So, but I'm sure they probably got a 10-10 at some point along the line. So I don't know where I'm going with this again, but I'm just that 9 out of 10 and a 10 out of 10. I think that's kind of throwing it overboard a lot of the times too. I want to hear your opinion on that as a band member. Like, if you got a 9-10 or a 10 out of 10, I mean, you'd be thrilled, but
yeah, I mean, certainly nothing, like, I wouldn't give anything that we've done that much of a high score.
Well, you also got guys are brand new too. Like, I mean, you're
well,
best.
Exactly. Yeah, so that would be a bit weird if we'd done that. If we'd like peaked already, that would be a bit weird.
It would. It's possible, but it'd be weird. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you got nothing to say on this?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't give 10s.
Yeah.
Often, and I find it a bit weird.
So anyway, so back to the bad review and the handling of it. So give me a 3-part process from Holly Royal, or a 2-part process, or a 4-part process, whatever you want to do, on you get a negative review. It's just fucking scathing. They attacked, we're going to say they attacked your vocals, they attacked Fletch, they said the whole fucking thing is garbage, just absolute crap. How should you deal with that, Holly?
I think maybe look at it in context. So yeah, like, if it's Angry Metal Guide, then, you know, they rip into everyone, so it's not a personal attack, because that's just what they do. So maybe look at things like that. If there may be a journalist who specializes in thrash metal and you're a folk metal band or symphonic metal or whatever, then they're probably not gonna love you, because that's not their favorite genre anyway. So I think, yeah, maybe just sort of look at it in context, and then you can kind of figure out, okay, this isn't a direct attack on you or anything like that. Usually. And if they are directly attacking you, then that's just mean. But yeah, I mean, obviously it depends sort of, I guess, how your bandmates react to things, but I always think it's good to maybe look at them together and then, like, talk about stuff, and you can get out any frustrations if it is, you know, upsetting and things like that. And yeah, maybe then just think, okay, how can we use this to our advantage? So, like you say, make a meme out of it.
Yep.
Or just, oh, I don't know, do a post on social media being something like, well, we got this bad review, what do you think? Do you agree with it? And people might engage with it and it might help that way. So
I agree. So
Mm.
one last thing I want to cover here, before we wrap up on this topic here is, actually two last things. Number one, what about sharing, or not sharing? How do you react to an overly positive review?
That's interesting.
Yeah, overly, like, it's like they're enthusiastic,
Yeah.
but again, coming back to how many 10/10s are there really, type of thing.
Mm. I mean, I'd probably, the first thing I'd probably do is thank the journalist for it, just because
Of course.
that's, a nice thing to do. And you should do that anyway. And yeah, I probably would share it, but I don't know. I guess I personally try not to make a huge deal of it. So I probably wouldn't plaster it absolutely everywhere.
Fair.
Or, I'd probably share it sort of amongst other reviews or other bits of media. So it's not necessarily standing out on its own. Maybe just so it's not, too in your face to, I don't know.
Well,
It's
yeah.
you've kind of got my brain going now because I hadn't thought about that.
Well, I know with me, if I get something that's positive, I definitely share it everywhere I possibly can. But at the same time, I mean, you can't let it really go to the band's head at the same time, because the next review could be poor.
Yeah.
The final thing I want to talk about is, as a PR, dealing with bad reviews. So obviously I'm not in the band, you are, and I'm not. So we recently have had a couple clients where, again, it's been either super positive or super negative. So here's how I deal with these types of things. I always ask the band first if they want to see the negative review. I never send a negative review unless the band specifically told me that they want it, because some people don't like negativity on their plate, period. We have one client, who I'm not going to name, who does not want the bad stuff sent to them, period, because it just gets that, and they've had enough good reviews that they know it's not true, right?
Yeah.
So now, or was I going with this again? So basically what I do is I ask, and if they want it, I send it. I usually don't share it. I will meme it. How do you deal with this as a PR, Holly, since you recently went through the same thing?
Yeah, I did the same, because I know we were sort of debating whether, because there was one particularly bad review, whether I should even mention it at all. And I wanted to at least give the band the option of, okay, this exists, partly as well because if they just came across it, that's one
Yeah.
thing that worries me. If I don't tell them at the band about a bad review and they find it anyway,
Yep.
that's worse because they're not prepared for it. Whereas at least, I can say to them, okay, this has come in. I'll be honest with you, it's really not good. I don't agree with it, whatever. If you want to see it, I'll send it to you. If not, and this particular band, they were like, okay, I'll have a look at it, but can I talk to you about it? So I ended up having a really nice conversation with the vocalist for a while afterwards. And, like I guess this is kind of useful as well, me being in a band, is that I can send people my examples. Like if you want to see examples of a bad Disconnected Souls review, I will send it to you so that it's not just you. We all get them. So yeah, I think talking about it helped. And I mean, one good positive thing came of it, because actually I think, I can't remember if it's their Spotify or something, but suddenly like increased quite a lot after it had actually been posted.
By 10 times or something, I think.
Yeah, so at least they got some good results out of it.
Yeah. Or what was I going to say about that? So, okay. So now, that's one thing I do like about you, is the fact that you can share those types of things with people, which is awesome. One thing I do want to point out, though, is that let's say if you're in a band and you're getting consistently negative feedback about stuff, like consistently 100% of the time, all the time, you're probably not ready for PR. I just want to point that out. And a good PR is not going to take you unless they actually believe in your band and they think that they can do something with you. So if you do hire a PR, most of the time that person actually believes in your band and they do feel that you're ready for PR. But like I said, if you're not up to that point, you're not even trying to search for a PR, because you're just going to get negative reviews and there's going to be no point.
Yeah, that's a good point. If the person you're working with doesn't like, or if they don't say that they like your music, then maybe that's probably a little bit of a red flag.
Maybe, but
maybe it does depend, because different people are.
yeah, like I'm not a big grindcore fan, but I've taken on grindcore clients who I know are good grindcore.
Yeah.
I can subjectively tell they're good. And I know that other people, and a lot of times I'll run it past someone else first. I'll be like, what do you think of this? And yes, I might take them, like if I think they're good as individuals and I can tell they're good, because I can then sell it. So it depends. And I've also had that happen with another type of band in the past. It was like Drone, not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of that at all. But again, I knew that people they had a good following, and I also knew that people were into them, and I knew a bunch of different journalists I knew were into them, so I knew I could do it. So that was the reason why I did it. Personally, I was like, but so I will debate you on that until the cows come home, Molly.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, but as a general rule, I do only take bands I like. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, I guess just the thing then of, if the person doesn't seem to either like you or feel that you are ready, then red flag.
Yeah, because you could also have the person could get along with you as an individual, maybe not necessarily like it, but know that there's an audience for it. So that's also possible too. Do you have any final thoughts on bad reviews, Holly, before we wrap up?
I guess just one thing is, like, if anyone wants to talk about bad reviews, message me, because I'm happy to do that. Whether I'm working with you or not, because I know it sucks sometimes if you're not expecting it. Yeah, I think the thing, you kind of, I don't know, when you're in a band, you kind of learn what your strengths and weaknesses are. And so if people are giving you feedback about something you can work on, then just view it as constructive criticism.
Yeah.
If they're ripping you apart for no reason, just try and laugh about it, but then move on and do what you enjoy doing, because it is just someone's opinion at the end of the day.
Exactly. And if you got a lot of people saying it's good, some people saying it's bad,
Yeah.
Final thing for us to talk about is we have a special on bios that Holly is writing. I can't talk today. I'm sorry. My cats woke, just as an aside, my cats woke me up at 4:00 this morning and I didn't get back to sleep. So that's why I'm off my game today. There's no excuse. So, so Holly's doing a special this month with bios. She will do them for 15% off. It is valid until the end of October. She has written bios for people like Antiqua, or press kits for Antiqua, Lindsay Schoolcraft, Mary Angela Demertas, Sarah Jezebel Diva, Lutharo, Kasem. Who am I missing that's notable? Anybody?
Oh, you've put me on the spot now.
She's done a fuckload though.
I've done a lot in the past few months, so they're all merging into one.
She does a really good job of them. So they're 15% off till the end of the month. So normal price is $100. So you get it $85, and you get that till October 31st. So if you're interested in that, hit me up directly or hit Holly up directly, and we'll figure out what we can do to help you. We have a little questionnaire you fill out. Holly will take all that information and she will make it into something special that you really like, and the band gets to approve it, correct? Before. Yeah.
And if you need stuff editing, that's absolutely fine.
Cool. Okay, that's all I got for today. So with that, that's all for now.